you all each week. And I know it's not always easy to find the hour, and you probably would like to close your computer and go do other things. But I really, really appreciate you taking the time every Wednesday afternoon to come and be with us and to share what's going on in your professional life with us. That has been very, very enriching for me, and I genuinely appreciate your time. So thank you.
And so we're just wondering if, you know, at the beginning of the office hours, oh, and I did hit record, by the way, so just a reminder as we chat about not, you know, using personally identifiable information regarding students, because I'm going to ask you if you're interested in reflecting on some of your successes this year. And we did this at the beginning, you know, and there was a little bit more with challenges, although we did, you know, people talked about some successes in November time. But, you know, what do you feel good about? There's got to be something.
I'll share, Robin, quickly. I just sort of branched out of my role as teacher this year and ended up doing like some food delivery to students, and really just focused on basic needs. We also focused a lot on academics, so I don't feel like that went away. I just feel like the other presented itself as well. So I felt like I kind of balanced both of those roles, but it felt good just to make sure that kids were eating the basics. So that was something this year that stood out to me.
Do you feel like it helped you to get to know the families in a way?
Absolutely. And I felt like they were really grateful, and they felt that a sense of compassion from the school district. And I think it really helped to bridge that school home for sure.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Candace. Anybody else want to share something they feel good about? Sure, go, Patty.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I was saying, what in this year has been, but no, I actually finally got one of my students into 4 days a week of class. And the significant difference of how he is doing, progressing, is phenomenal. He was pretty much failing everything. I mean, it was not a pretty picture, but boy, he is gung-ho, making up work, getting work in on time, which is so, I mean, it just sort of proves that when you have the right supports in place, it works. And so I'm pleased, because he's going to end his year on a much better note than we all thought. So that's a positive.
Thank you for sharing that. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
The testimonials from each of you are just so valuable to all of us to learn from.
You know, to that end, April, this is to you, well, but Robin too. I was thinking, because I have probably requested in my district probably 5 or 6 times at least. I mean, you know, you got to give a little wait time after each request, right? So to get the ELL kids in 4 days a week. Now they will do it for the very newcomers that come in, but for some of the others, it was they don't want to blend the cohorts. So I was thinking today, April, if this ever, and I am knocking on wood with both hands right now, if this ever happens again, maybe the state should just make a ruling that says ELL children are in 4 days a week minimum. That way.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of evidence to say that for students learning English, it's really important for them to be in face-to-face school. I think we could find lots and lots of information to back you up.
Yeah,
That said, the department generally, because of the nature of our state of Maine, which is a very local control state, the department is reluctant to mandate or legislate things like that. And it really, it's been our position to kind of advise and support districts, but not to require specific actions apart from those that are, you know, straight from the CDC health based.
Yeah. You know, and that makes sense. I know for IEP children, they were in 4 days a week. And of course, my argument was, what is the difference between an IEP and an ILAP? You know, that even more so, my children need 4 days a week because they are working with 2 languages. It didn't work until the school finally realized that the child was failing. And it shouldn't be that hard to get children into school more when we have significant issues. And I do respect what you're saying, because there are instances that I'm so grateful that the district can make a decision and not the state. But in this one, selfishly, I'd love for the state to have stepped in.
Well, and I completely understand, Patty, and I share your feelings in a number of ways. One is, as this situation unfolded, there was guidance almost immediately from the U.S. Department of Education about providing services to students with disabilities. And it was not until very late into the game that they provided guidance around serving students who are English learners.
Yeah.
And to me, that is, I don't want to say that that's reflective of the Department of Education's position, because I think that they do very much support the needs of students who are else. But I think it is reflective perhaps of the weight that certain groups hold when it comes to being prioritized.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah. So, and you asked about the difference between an IEP and an ILAP, and that's something too that I think there's room for us to improve on, because an IEP is a legal legislated document. It becomes a legally binding piece of documentation in a student's file. An ILAP, much less so. So I think until we can get a footing like that for our students who are English learners, where what we put in their plans is legally binding, I think we'll always be having to advocate the way that you are.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, I'm not going to share that little piece with my district, because I tell them they must follow it. They don't have a choice. So I'm going to keep your information very quiet, just amongst.
Well, and the word must can mean different things, right? So what's in an ILAP, they must follow it because it's their policy to follow it. In virtually any district's allow plan, they indicate the process of developing an ILAP for a student, and they indicate that the district will adhere. So in that sense, they must. Yeah. But it's a different must than with an IEP, where there's really a legal backing that there would be a clear process in place if they were not to follow what the IEP says.
Yeah. Thank you.
Tracy or Tatiana, would you like to share, Tatiana, please?
I'm just grateful to be at this point in the year that we have gotten thus far, and our students are here, we're here, and we're making progress, and some of our students are doing really well. Some of our students certainly could benefit from being here every day, and we did have a similar situation where a student was brought in every day. It is a year like no other, and I'm sure we'll all learn and grow from it. I also have a question for the group. So the Access reports are coming out, I believe, June 18th. Now, school will be out at that point. Our practice so far has been, of course, we received those reports earlier in the year, is that we would share those reports with parents during a LAC meeting where there's an opportunity to have an actual meaningful conversation, in addition to sending those reports out to parents. So I'm just wondering what other educators are planning on doing this year, whether they're going to send out those reports in June, or wait till September when those things can be shared and discussed during LAC meetings. Thank you.
I can share with you, you know, when the state assessment scores come in, you know, when they would come in over the summer years ago, or whatever, I mean, they wouldn't be sent out during the summer because parents would not have anybody available to discuss the reports with. And certainly given the circumstances of this year, it seems even more important to be able to meet with parents and, you know, go through those and explain why there may not be the same amount of growth that there had been for students who had been here, you know, years prior. There might be, but, you know, an opportunity to have that discussion. Also, you need to be able to have time to, you know, print out your translated reports from, you know, the portal there. And unless your district has, you know, funds for stipend days for you to go in and do that, you know, if you're outside of your working hours, then really you can't, you know, be expected to manage that until, you know, school contract starts back up.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and Tatiana, I think also, you know, a lot of buildings are closed. I was thinking, you know, I don't think I'll plan to go in because you don't know if the buildings will even be open. I think we're getting hard copies in July. So my thought was at the beginning of this school year to do it. It does create, as we all as teachers know, the beginning of the school year is a stressful time. For me, it is, I'm sure it is for everyone. So it is kind of hard to think about adding that additional layer onto the fall, but I think this year we might have to.
I am working on ILAPS right now, and I am communicating with parents either with a Google Meet or with an email. Well, teachers and parents, you know, I'm gathering all of my information to put into my iLap. I'm leaving the final version until the scores come in. But I'm just going to do it on my own time because I just want them, I want them ready to go. So I'll just, but that said, I only work 3 days a week, but I have canceled classes essentially for next week, particularly because there are lots of activities going on, virtually, you know, socially distant, high school having their finals. So I am going to spend at least 2 of the 3 days just in front of my computer writing ILAPS. Just what I have to do. And then I'll just continue to do that till they're done because I want them done, and I'll revise them as necessary once I see the scores.
If your district or your schools are having a fall open house, you might want to consider hosting a general parent meeting to, you know, talk about the, you know, the test scores and coming out and using it as a time to, you know, schedule individual appointments. I mean, really, it's so variable in this state with how many students you have on your caseload. Okay, I mean, if you only have a few students, you can maybe even do it during open house. And the parents were coming anyway, and at least just, you know, go through that report and hand it to them, and then talk more in depth at you know, at the LEC meeting. So just a quick thought.
Robin, as far as the LEC meeting goes, I like the idea of hosting the open house and having test scores ready then. You know, in Turner, a lot of our families work. They work early and late, and I've found it's a burden to ask them to come in for an LEC meeting, quite frankly, especially if they also have IEPs, which is quite common with my case, you know, my students currently. So can we, how much flexibility do we have as far as maybe it's easier for a parent just to come to an open house and we can meet and I would think with a new family, we would certainly want to have a meeting, but is it something that absolutely has to happen if it's a burden to the family?
Well, you know, the parents don't, I mean, we always want to invite them, but if they're not able to participate, you can still have your staff, you know, meeting around the needs of that student. And so if you can get them to come to an open house and you get to see them for 10 minutes, that's certainly better than nothing. You know, and if so, that's the one time they say, okay, I'm going to go to the school because I have 4 kids and, you know, that's the night I'm going to the schools and what have you. Then just make the most of that opportunity is my personal thought. I don't know what do other people think.
So I agree with you, Robin, and I would add to that the bottom line is for parents to have a meaningful opportunity to give ideas and feedback on the iLab. So if that happens in the context of a face-to-face meeting, and that's convenient for parents, that's wonderful. If that's not convenient for parents, if you're able to find a way to work around their schedule, fantastic. But if there really is not an opportunity for them to meet with you face-to-face, then whatever other means that you can leverage to get their thoughts and feedback on the iLab, that's really the ultimate goal.
Right, now that we all know how to use Zoom, I mean, it's certainly not first choice, but if a parent didn't have transportation and they had a copy and, you know, whatever, it would give them an opportunity. And even if they needed an interpreter, you can do that with Zoom. You know, it's better than just the telephone, if that's available to the family. Tracy, do you have a success that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, this year's the first year I've gotten to work with 2 newcomers, and it has been so wonderful seeing how quickly they are picking up English. So that would be my success for this year.
Good for you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Great. Tracy, what would be a piece of advice that you would give to someone who had never worked with a newcomer before and they were going to have somebody come in? Was there something you found that worked well for you and your students?
Well, let's see. With the kindergartner, we tried to focus on like articles of clothing, fall, winter, things that might happen around here. Now we're doing summer activities. We did also do a fairy tale unit. With my high schooler, I mostly went to classes with her. Heather did do an ELL class, English class with her though. So I think that helped her a lot too.
Mm-hmm. So thematic teaching was successful with your kindergartner. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah. Well,
we do want to share with you that April and I have composed just a little letter of recognition, for those of you who, have, fairly regularly participated in the office hours, because like we recognized at the beginning, this is really above and beyond the call of duty. And it's been for your own professional development and, to be with other colleagues. I think you know by now that I've nicknamed you the Lone Rangers because many of you don't have compadres to collaborate with, and this has been a nice way for that to happen. So we do have our list, and if you want to put in the chat who you think would be the best person for us to send this to, that would be helpful. I think if, and obviously there's several people that aren't here, it would go to the superintendent and we'll leave it up to the superintendent to decide who should get it. But if you want a curriculum or you have a supervisor or a building principal, we'd like to send it to the person that you feel is best to receive it. So if you can just put that in the chat, that would be great.
And just to give you an idea of what the letter says, it's basically just a brief note of recognition that you have, as Robin said, gone above and beyond and participated regularly in these office hours, and it gives a list of some of the topics that we've covered over the course of this school year, and just recognizes your commitment to supporting your peers and to being part of this group.
Okay, so because we wanted to have a big party, but you know, with great refreshments and all of that, but obviously that isn't happening anywhere this year. So we thought maybe this was a little something that we could offer. All right, I've got Candace's. And April, was there anything else you wanted to add to our meeting?
No, just once more, just to say thank you all so much for making the time to be here with us every week. And I hope you have a very re-energizing summer where you can really tune out for a little while and just get back to yourself, and hopefully take some time to be outside and recharge your batteries. And we look forward to seeing you again in the fall.
Absolutely. I hope that you get some rest, some relaxation, some fun, some laughs, get to read a few good books or whatever it is that you do that makes you happy. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good summer.
Thanks for holding these hours. Been very beneficial.
Yeah.
Have a good summer. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good summer.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.